The reason why I wanted to share with you about the third eye chakra is because all of these things that I've learned about energy has really helped me love myself. And I'm very much someone who is in my head. And when I was on this healing journey that started 13 years ago to stop binge eating, I really needed like evidence and proof that there was like something to love and there was something that went wrong in my mind body that was causing me to feel as bad about myself as I was and have such destructive behavior. And so along this journey, there's been four really clear, poignant healing like portals that I went through where I was focusing on a different element of mindset, emotions, eating, and exercise and self-care. And so now that I'm like looking back at these four periods of my life that took place over the last 13 years, it's almost like I'm really able to go back into hindsight and have 20/20 vision of where I was at emotionally and what tools I was using and how they helped and like the reasons why I was doing stuff. With the chakras, like, first of all, let me just say that when people told me, you had to love yourself 13 years ago, when the therapist said you have all the answers within, and I was like, if I had the answers, I wouldn't be here. Like, tell me what to do and I'll do it to like love myself and not have an upset stomach all the time and not have these adrenaline dumps and not be so insecure and all these things. And he said that I had all the answers within. And at the time, it really pissed me off. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, like they truly are all within. And so the perspective that I have is looking at the chakras, these energetic energy holders, as these like interdimensional USB hard drives to your computer that allow different apps to run. Only the apps in our computer is our thoughts and our feelings and our habits and our patterns and the automatic functions that our bodies do. So when I'm thinking about like what it is to love myself or why I should love myself, the problem that I had with the whole idea of love was that to me, it felt vulnerable and it felt weak. And so at the beginning of my journey, it was all about mindset and strength training. It was all about cognitive behavioral therapy and lifting really heavy weights and transferring that tenacity that you have in the weight room into other endeavors in your life. So I did not have the heart included in my first segment of my healing journey. And so one of the things that kind of goes along with that, to give you a little bit of perspective of why it is the way I go about things, because my method is unique. Like in Hottie with the Body, you have your diet, you have your exercise. I teach you how to go into a calorie deficit. I teach you how to do weightlifting. I teach you all the things. But the reason why people don't actually follow through with the workouts, or why they're doing everything that they should be doing, but they're not getting results, is all of this behind the scenes energetic stuff, which I'm so passionate about sharing with you, because when I understood it, that's when I was able to actually love myself in a way that I could believe in, and then have the physical health transformation to now be able to have an aesthetic transformation. So one of the things that I've learned on this journey is that when we are not loving ourselves, what happens is we have degenerative molecules of emotion secrete from our brain, and that causes disease, and it causes our DNA to express itself in disease. We have inflammation, we have chronic pain. When we don't love ourselves, we're also in a low vibration, a low and slow vibration. And vibration in quantum physics is 1/3 of how everything is created, is how actual matter is formed for us to have the experience. So when we don't love ourselves, if we are not having emotions that are of love, joy, appreciation, kindness, care, when we don't have respect for ourselves, we don't have self-loyalty, we don't have a positive self-image, when we don't have any of those self qualities, the degenerative molecules of emotion are like always flooding our body, and the low vibration is always active. And so what happens is we're constantly in a state of dis-ease within the physical body. And because the mind body talks to each other, when the body is in a state of dis-ease because of these degenerative molecules of emotion, the body then sends a signal back up to the brain to get confirmation of like, why do I feel like crap? And then the brain's job is to answer the question to the body and say, here's all the reasons why you feel like crap. And then all of our memories of regret, or when we got our feelings hurt or something bad happened to us, they all come to the forefront of our mind. And then when those are in the forefront of our mind, then more degenerative molecules of emotion secrete, because that's part of the brain's way to say yes to the body. You do feel like crap, and here's why. And then with the vibration, when we are in a low vibration because we're not loving ourselves, that vibration is always sending a signal, just like the light is really bright around here. But, the further we get from the light source, the more shadow there is, right? We're sending a signal. We're sending a light out into the quantum field that by law, its job is to bring back things to us to re-experience that emotional quality. So then what happens is whatever things that happened when we were little that caused us to feel judgment or caused us to feel separation, where we weren't getting the correct attachment going on in our 0 to 7, whatever happened with that vibration stays in our body if we didn't learn how to process it, which, some kids, things roll off their back, no problem. Other kids, they hang on to the traumas a little bit more severely. So what happens is when we have the vibration of an emotional state that happened to us when we were little that didn't feel good, and that vibration is always present, as we get older and as we have different life experiences, that vibration by law is just working with whatever we're interacting with at the age and in the context of our life. So that vibration will create a scenario that is similar to the initial one that we experienced in that 0 to 7, because the exterior world is also confirming who the mind body is through vibration. So when I understood like the science behind this, that emotions were chemical and emotions were vibrational, and that anytime we're not loving ourselves, we're holding on to one of these negative emotions, that's what's causing the dis-ease in our body. That's what's causing the tension and the migraines and the feelings of being upset and the re-experiencing of these old emotions by the stuff that's happening in the real world. So like, okay, there was this funny meme that somebody said that somebody posted in their stories where it was like somebody was like going poop at like 11:50 at night, and then it became 12:01 in the morning the next day, and they said same shit, different day. So we experience the same shit, but then a different context, but it's the same vibrational quality of the thing that we experienced when we were little. So when I understood this, then I was like, okay, now that I understand that love means I won't have these degenerative molecules of emotion, I won't have this vibration recreating this negative thing that happened to me. Now it was like I had an incentive to do the work. I had the incentive to actually learn how to love myself, because like I said before, that loving myself felt like something was very vulnerable, and I felt like I really needed to be strong. So one of the things that has really helped me is understanding how the chakras work as a body part. So I feel, in my perception, you can take it or leave it. Like if this is helpful for you, apply it. If it stresses you out and you're like, it's one more thing to do, or it doesn't sit well, it puts you too much into your head, then don't do it. But like, I feel that the chakras are, oh, I don't have any spheres. Oh, it's over there. I have this sphere. I have my light. Can you see this? Yes, you can see this. So I feel like the chakras, this is a salt lamp, are spheres. To me, they look like little spheres along our vertebral column, and they are interdimensional. They hold energy and they transmit energy. That's what I perceive the chakras to be. And in the third eye chakra, when I had this awareness about the third eye chakra, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. So to me, the third eye chakra is about seeing through a singular eye. And for me, this whole experience, like the negative end of things, like I've like I had a lot of sad stuff in my body that I've had to work through, sad emotions and a poor self-image of myself. And so when I got to a place of like a spiritual understanding, it just felt like this whole experience is to feel unity, but to feel unity within you and your soul, and to be a human embodying who you are in your spirituality, in your soul, and living like co-creatively and symbiotically with other people. So for me, like the guru aspect and following aspect and teaching from a podium aspect really grosses me out. Like there's a visceral reaction to it for me, because I feel so strongly that this is what it feels like for me. I feel so strongly that it's like down, no, we'll say, okay, we can see the bottom of it, right? To me, it feels like if we're a stream of consciousness that's coming from a singular point, being God, and we're this life stream of consciousness, at any point on this little ribbon, there's actually intersections of time and space where our consciousness is in a density throughout the dimensions to have varying experiences, including parallel human lifetimes. So there's a part of me that feels like me, Lauren, is here, but there's also simultaneously happening a version of my soul having a human consciousness at the very same time, because time is a construct that we've created to make sense of the convoluted universe. But really, if we're a stream of consciousness coming from God, there is no time. What's my point of sharing this with you? So for me, everything on my healing journey, especially in the last 3 years, has been, how can I get back to source? How can I feel that we're in the unified field of love, where there are positive and negative experiences, but there isn't like harm and foul? All of the harm and foul that happens is the illusion that we are separate from source. So that was like my goal, is like to really find like, how can I feel that I'm in the unified field of love? How can I create this sensation of love within myself? And when I started to really pick up on, there's an anti-material universe with our light bodies, our aura, like when we have the aura pictures, and there's the physical universe with our physical body, and our physical body has emotions through molecules, and our energetic body has emotions through vibration. It's all about emotions. So if I can get my chemical body and my vibrational body to feel the same sensations of love, I physically, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually will be in the unified plane of love, the unified field of love. So that's been my focus the last 3 years. So when I'm sharing with you how I feel these chakra body parts work, I'm legitimately using them as a body part, just like I would think about my bicep bends my elbow. Like they have a function and a utility for me. And so with the third eye chakra, it's one eye, it's a singular eye versus seeing positive and negative, right or wrong, as represented in the two eyes. So when it landed for me that the third eye chakra was about us being able to see a subject in its entirety, not the negative end of the subject, not the positive end of the subject, but the entire subject together. If we could see the entirety of the subject at hand, that's viewing the world through our third eye. And when we're able to view the world through the third eye, it relates to our subconscious mind of patterns. So it's an energetic frequency. It's like the energetic hard drive or the Wi-Fi information that's going to allow the subconscious mind to run the way we want it to. And the computer analogy is it's that Wi-Fi signal to have the app run on your phone. So let me share with you how Julia, this is a little behind the scenes up here on Instagram of my body energetics training that I'm doing on Facebook that will be uploaded to YouTube. So hello. So this is how, to me, the third eye chakra functions. Okay. So we have this straight line, right? So we have positive and we have negative. So we have two ends of a spectrum of an experience. So our goal is to hold neutrality in the center of the experience. So say we're talking about a relationship. You have the love end of the relationship where you feel connected to the person. And then you have the hate end of the relationship where you don't feel connected. But it is all on the single subject of being in a relationship. And so this example, when we think about when we're in love with someone and we expand our heart to them, or we think we're giving our heart to them, and we're having all these positive emotions and all this validation that, yes, like I am definitely lovable now because this person is telling me I'm lovable because they're saying I love you. And all the fears and all of the inadequacies that you may have about yourself are now like annihilated, like they don't exist. But now you've given that person all of your willpower and all of your self-love because you're dependent on them to give you the feeling of love. So then if we break up with the person and now we are in absence of all of that, all of those confirming emotions, because now we're not in love with them. Now, all of the reasons that we felt loved and validated by them are now the reasons why we hate them. Because what's actually happening is we are feeling the absence of those molecules of emotion, the absence of the validation, and then now we're angry. Or like whatever it is that you do when you're upset, when you feel like you gave your power away. So I think about this all the time. Like when I'm in like a scenario, it's like, okay, well then like what's the positive and the negative end of this experience? And I came across something like in 2021 that it was saying that like a sphere is the most advanced geometric shape, because what the sphere is symbolizing is that we're in the center point of neutrality, and along every single edge and opposite. So these opposite ends, and then this opposite end. And if this was really a sphere and didn't have the wood, this opposite end, that each of these opposite ends are actually a life experience that we have the opportunity to master as a human, learning how to work with the energetic field of the 3D. This is like some of the stuff that Dolores Cannon has gotten from her hypnotherapy clients who are all telling the same story, but don't know each other, that yes, like this is the experience to master energy. Believe it or not, I don't really care if you believe it or not. I don't really care if I believe it or not. I'm not entirely sure I totally believe that. But my point is that we have an energetic body with all of these energetic body parts that have been documented for eons, for hundreds of years. We have documentation that this light body does exist, and we have got this physical body. And so for me, I'm like going back and forth between the two, because when I get emotional, I get so ungrounded. And so the way that I've been able to manage that initial reaction to feeling emotions in my body is that, number one, I generally am able to like get back to a grounded state where I'm in brain and heart coherence breathing, because I've practiced that. And that's part of the practices that I teach in Hottie with the Body membership, where we breathe in for 5 seconds at a time and we breathe out for 5 seconds at a time. Because what that is doing is giving the nervous system some time to respond to whatever emotional experience the body is having, because it's the emotional experience that triggers the fear response to make sure that we stay alive. And that sounds so dramatic, but that's what's happening to the primal brain of the mind-body connection. But because we're like a community species, the thing that's triggering us is the feeling of being separate or feeling wronged or feeling victimized or not having our needs met. Because what actually happened when we were little is that in the 0 to 7, we were in theta brain waves and below theta, which are very slow, low vibrations. So not necessarily low, but they're slow vibrations so that we could just learn how to do life. The 0 to 7 was the time where we were learning how to do life in our culture, in our environment, and how to do life in partnership with someone else to eventually procreate, because that's part of the experience of life, is make more life. So when we have things that happen at 0 to 7 that imprint in us a negative feeling of separation, non-love, right? Not the unity field, then if we're little and we don't know how to process those emotions and those feelings of separation, the primal fear just kicks on, that the experience of the mind body is, I'm surely going to die. Even though that might not be what's really going to happen in real life, that's the experience of the mind body. So then the mind body is now creating a system that says, whenever we interact with this emotion, this is what it means, death. So do this to prevent yourself from dying. But we don't think of it that way because it's ingrained in us so that we could function. Like if we had to think about every function to like pick up my cup and then bring it and then purse my lips and then suck and then swallow, like all these things, there wouldn't really be much time to do anything else. So the patterns that are in our mind of our sabotage patterns or our reactive patterns are there so that we can automate survival. So the more that I learned about this, about primal fear and about the 0 to 7 conditioning and about attachment theory and about that there's an entire anti-material universe and there's like a complete separate body of me that seems separate, but it's not separate, that it's actually connected with me. It was just like, I felt like I kept collapsing. Like when you're shuffling cards and they're all separate and they fan themselves together in a deck, I just felt like I kept pulling all of my energetic body parts and my mindset back together. I just felt like I kept bringing myself together to a place of wholeness. And that sense of wholeness is love, because love is unity. Love is being able to see both ends of the spectrum where there's nothing excluded. That love to me felt a little bit easier to get on board with because I am so analytical. And so sometimes when I've shared my point of view with people, they're like, well, don't you help people get in the body? Like, this really feels like all in your head. Like, I want to get in my body. And so it's like, I think I'm kind of like, if you're someone who finds yourself saying, I'm like this because, or if you know what you get triggered by in the world, this is more, I think I'm a good mentor or coach to work with, because when we say I'm like this because, we have an understanding that we are doing something. We know that there's a cause to why we're doing something. We know we don't like it, but like, it's not enough for us to hear niceties. It wasn't enough for me to read a positive mantra that says, I love myself. I needed to know why. Like, I needed to understand the mechanics of how things were working in me and how my childhood experiences were duplicating themselves unconsciously in my dis-ease and consciously in my behavior. So when I was able to kind of understand that, it was like I could take a load off and kind of breathe a little bit and not take on so much responsibility that I had messed something up. Because I was like, oh my God, like this shit is all learned behavior. Oh my God, this is about primal fear. Oh my God, there's another light body. Oh my God, like what? Okay, now I got something to work with. So if you find yourself saying, I'm like this because, you're probably able to like remember the people who've hurt you, especially if you did had like mental, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. And then this is also really good for someone who you get triggered by what's happening in the world. So whatever is happening in the world, whether it's in medicine, whether it's in identity politics, whether it's in finance, like your visceral reaction response to that is probably because you have some emotions and mindsets that are very similar to the ones that are happening out in the world that you're upset about. And when I would notice how triggered I would get by the world, I was like, okay, like I'm still harboring some sort of an experience that happened to me that is represented or that is resonant with what's happening in the world, because the only reason I could be upset with something that's happening in the world is if I still haven't cleared that victimizing or me being a perpetrator energy in my body. And so every time I had this triggering with the world, it was like, let's go back to the third eye chakra. How can I see this as the pattern? What am I really upset about? What's the singular subject that's in the middle? And what is the negative experience that I'm getting upset about this? And what's the positive experience of it? And how can I actually see through my third eye that that thing that I'm upset about is a singular subject facet of life that a soul being and a human came here to experience, to understand what it all means. And so like that's like another belief system, right? That like we're here to like go venture off from source energy and then go back and like report what we learned. You know, so it's like, take your belief system. If it's going to be with Dolores Cannon's clients who say this is about mastering energy, and when we learn how to master energy, we get to leave the planet, whether you've come across a belief system that this planet has been taken over 22,000 years ago, and now we're in the awakening. If you believe that we are all a fragment of source energy and we came here to experience and we get to go back, like whatever your belief system is, it's like, how can you tap into whatever it is that gives you a higher purpose to feel a sense of love? Because when you have the sense of love within yourself, you get healthier because those degenerative molecules of emotion stop secreting. Your life experience changes because those low and slow vibrations stop interacting with the law of attraction, the law of co-creation, duplicating the reality that first got set into you at that 0 to 7. Everything will change. But we have to be able to find whatever belief system that's greater than us for us to like have something to work towards, but then also figure out a way for us to get on board with loving ourselves. So for me, it was understanding how it quote unquote works. Like you tell me how I'm fucked up so that I could rearrange it and then I'll get it. So then to me, when I would reflect on my body and see how unhealthy it was and how much tension I had and how much chronic fatigue I had and all the problems I was having, I was like, if I don't forgive, if I don't move on, my body will continue to deteriorate. And that was my motivation to learn how to love myself. So I wanted to share that with you. I don't know what I'm going to share on the next official body energetics training, but I'm so glad you're here. I can see some little eyes on the Facebook version. And then, everybody figured out on Instagram that I was wrapping it up. So there's no more eyes over there. So thank you so much for being here. If you have not joined Hottie with the Body, I highly recommend it, especially if you're watching this on the replay. Well, not especially if you're watching this on the replay, but if you're watching this on YouTube, open up the description box because I'll let you know how you can join. Hottie with the Body is my $1 a day membership where you get step-by-step workouts. Let's see if I can list them off all real quick. You get emotional freedom exercises every week where I teach you how to get into your body so you can feel the emotions in your body. We have a monthly meditation. We have a monthly group coaching call. We use the Trainerize app with all of the workouts. I've been adding even more workouts to it that everybody is loving, where we're just using dumbbells. What else can I tell you about it? And then we have the Slack app, and the Slack app is what we're using for our community, for me to deliver bonuses to you and chit chat with you a little bit in between calls. So that is a fabulous membership. This is really good for someone who's like just getting their feet wet, because I'm going to teach you the energy stuff too, but it's very small energy stuff. And then I have 4 programs that I'm going to be rolling out, and the 4th one ain't coming out till 2025. And I am so excited that I have that framework done for me. I'm going to be taking you through the 4 healing portals that I brought myself through in the last 13 years. And the first one is coming up. I'm going to be sharing with you on July 1st. So definitely keep your eyes and ears out for more information about that. It's going to be very inspiring and practical. I'm going to give you practical things that you can do right away to start your healing journey. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.